I'm Eric Banner. It is my privilege and honor to serve as senior minister here at First Universalist Church of Denver, a sanctuary for spiritual growth, community, and connections, building the world we dream about together. And what that means this morning is just a little different than most Sundays. You might have noticed things look a little different when you came in. And so whether you've come in person or online, and I do hope and pray, online folks, hi, that you have joined us for our annual Dia de los Muertos intergenerational service where we remember and celebrate our ancestors. On this Sunday, everyone of every age is invited to stay for the whole service, which will be a little shorter than our typical Sundays. And afterwards, everyone is invited to stick around for coffee, conversations, and all the food that has been brought to share. If this is your first time visiting, you should know this is a little different than our typical Sunday morning experience, and we hope you have a great Sunday today, and we hope you come back next week for another great experience. And then when we get together on Sunday, a week from now, we will be wrapping up that series on spiritual practice that we've been working our way through all fall long, with a look at what the spiritual practice of leadership looks like in a time when leadership is so desperately needed. Now, that is, of course, not all that is happening that is going on next weekend, right? This is a jam-packed place. It was busy here last night. It will be busy here next Saturday. It will be busy here next Sunday. Next Saturday, we have gotten a special invite, a special request, I should say. The National UU Justice Initiative, UU the Vote, has identified Colorado as a priority state, and they have specifically said that the vote on reproductive rights and justice that's on your ballots that you may have already turned in or may be waiting to get turned in is a priority. Now, I know that everyone in this room turned your ballots in early. I know. But it turns out you have neighbors, and your neighbors aren't all as just great at doing their civic duty, and so UU the Vote next Saturday and Sunday both at noon will be here with a short little training and a bite to eat before sending folks out to do some door knocking for that last Get Out the Vote campaign for people who haven't gotten their ballots in, working on that particular measure. So if you want to participate in that, check the link in Happenings, sign up so that they know that you're coming and that they're ready for you. But both Saturday and Sunday, starting at noon, short little training here, and then go out to, as they say, work the turf. And then after that, and you'll be done by 4. It's not a long day. But after that, you'll surely want to come back because it is, as you might know, the annual auction. And with more to tell us about that all is Karen Rutledge.
One more time. Is that working? Yes. Okay. As many of you know, our annual auction, Come Sail Away, is Saturday. Saturday. And listen very carefully. Today, by midnight, is the last day to purchase tickets to come to that event. Midnight tonight. Tickets will not be available at the door. The catalog is open for bidding now, through Saturday noon. There are 50 social events and over 200 wonderful items to bid on. Anyone can bid on these online items. You do not need to attend the event on Saturday to take advantage of the bidding online. We will be over there by the couches today after the service because it's a very busy day, and we will be helping you register. You can buy raffle tickets. You do not need to be in attendance to buy and win those raffle items. And you will see many of the items in the catalog over there today, which is wonderful. You can see gift baskets, art in person. How do I get more information on the auction? Well, 3 ways. It's on the church website, number 1. It's in happenings every week, number 2. And it was in the all-church email you received on Wednesday. Thank you.
In singing our opening hymn for All That Is Our Life.
Good morning. Good morning. We're going to read a short poem that kind of summarizes Day of the Dead, one of our favorite holidays. It's a poem by Tori Olivas.
I'm going to read it in 2 languages.
We have a lucky household. It's called Day of the Dead. On the Day of the Dead, we celebrate. On the Day of the Dead, don't be late.
En el Día de los Muertos, nosotros celebramos. En el Día de los Muertos, no llegues tarde.
Remember our loved ones with flowers and food. The skeletons dance are in a joyous mood.
Nos acordamos de nuestros queridos con flores y comida. Los esqueletos bailan y cantan en humor alegre.
There's the altar we left with great care. On the Day of the Dead, love is everywhere.
Ahí está el altar, lo dejamos con mucho cuidado. En el Día de los Muertos, el amor está en todos lados. And now, please join us in the words for the lighting of our chalice. Okay. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law.
This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, to serve human need, and to help one another.
Oops.
Help me down.
So I am clearly not Naomi Blackwood or your director of religious education, but I do have a story, and I wonder if any of my littles would like to join me for a closer look at Desert Song by Lacan Kemp and Beatriz Hernandez. Am I that scary? Sit down, I'm told. Sit down, sit down. People have been telling me to sit down for a long time, and it's never worked. Never worked, never worked. Friends, how many of you have ever been to the desert? Yeah, and what was the desert like? Cactuses. What else? Hot. Oh, hot. Yeah. What else did you see in the desert when you were there? Dust, sand, absolutely. How many of you have grandparents? Yeah. How many of you have grandparents that are still alive? And how many of you have some grandparents that maybe aren't with us anymore? Yeah, that's right. And so today's story is about the desert, but it's also about our ancestors and the way that song helps us come together. So this story is brand new. It was only released just in June of this year, so I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. It starts out this way. As you might imagine, the sun rules the desert, telling us when to rise and when to sleep. The sun sits atop the mountains while crackling snap and hiss on the stove. The sky blushes, and it's time for tea, for porch swings and belly rubs. Yeah, belly rubs. And when night comes, so too do the coyotes, the cicadas, and the giant barn owls. They howl and buzz and hoot, a chorus in need of a band. Aunt Ophelia presses her lips to her flute, calling down the wind. It starts with a soft tapping. Uncle Eduardo drumming his hands against his dusty jeans. My cousin Tiago beats the leather hide of his hand drum. My sister Esme joins in next, shaking maracas and mimicking the rattlesnakes sleeping beneath our feet. Over it all, my father begins to hum, while Grandma plucks the strings of her guitar, hands moving slow, nodding for me to follow along. Like this, she says, showing me where to put my fingers. Mine's smaller, with only 5 strings, but I practice it every day after school, wanting and waiting for nightfall, for the stars, for my own chance to shine. The sound of my grandfather's on the guiro matches that of the crickets, a twilight harmony that warms us from the inside out. When my mother opens her mouth to sing, a hush falls over the desert. The clouds move, drawn back like curtains, and on the other side, I see the moon, giant and watchful, a memory of the sun. Mammy sings about memories too, about the coyote remembering the stars, about the cacti remembering the rain. Soon, everyone is singing. Between us, flames dance sometimes for for making shadow puppets, sometimes for roasting marshmallows, always for telling stories, like the one we write together with old instruments and even older memories. That's why we play, my father says. With your great-great-grandfather's vihuela and my godmother's ocarina, to remember that they are still alive between the notes, that when we sing to them, they're listening. I listen too, to the animals rejoining our song, night birds warbling, wild bees buzzing, horned toads skittering across the sand. My father lets out a loud grito. Ow, ow, ow! The coyote calls back with a loud grito of its own. All of us looking up, searching for familiar shapes in the stars, all of us remembering something. We play to the glittering sky overhead, an audience of our ancestors. Face turned up, I breathe in the faint smell of rain. Lightning strikes like a spotlight. Thunder rolls down like a hollow drum. And the rain on our roof sounds like applause. As you go back to your seats, I hope you remember a time and a place that your ancestors are with you, in song or in desert, or maybe right in your own home. Speaking of ancestors, we are here because of the religious ancestors who made this place possible. The ones who gathered in 1891 to start what was then St. Paul's Universalist Church, before rapidly changing their name to the First Universalist Church of Denver. The ancestors who made possible that small little church on East Colfax Avenue that we used for so many decades and generations. The ancestors who made this place possible today. So today, as we collect our offering, may you be a good ancestor and give a gift to the ones who come behind.
Listen more often to things than to be. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Za, whoosh, ah, whoosh. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are in the groaning woods. They are in the crying grass. They are in the moaning rocks. The dead are not under the earth. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Za, whoosh, ah, whoosh. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead have a pact with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in our homes. They are with us in this crowd. The dead have a pact with the living. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Zawsh, zawsh, whoosh.
A reading on the Day of the Dead by Rene Saldana Jr. At the foot of his grave, we spread out a blanket, rough, but was my abuelo's favorite, still bright and still colorful. Abuela places their wedding photo at the head, just under his name, carved into granite. Ama lays down flowers and his favorite coffee mug. Next, Tío Ernesto sets a plate and a napkin, followed by a string. Of us nietos and nietas, who bring the food and drinks, pan de muerte, Mexican hot chocolate, and for the grown-ups, café de olla, we serve him first, a piece of bread and a steaming cup of coffee, a cinnamon stick for stirring, and then we whisper our messages, like we used to do on his lap just last year, and he'd whisper back his sweet everythings, and we sit, eat, and think how we all just miss him. Let's do a slideshow. de los Muertos is a time not only to grieve our loved ones, but also to celebrate them.
It is a celebration, a reunion, a gathering of old friends and family who've impacted our lives in ways both small and large.
We've built our ofrenda in hopes of protecting, supporting, encouraging, loving them and each other.
The marigolds are laid out to guide our loved ones home to this space.
We decorate with bright colors to celebrate their long journey, and we bring together food that allows us to nourish their souls while we are reminded of their lives and of their stories.
Today is a day of celebration.
Today, we get to talk about them as if they are actually here, because in this tradition, they are, sitting right next to all of you.
And something we hope you take away from this space is that when our loved ones are gone, we honor them by living our lives. We remember them and talk about who they were in this life.
We talk about the good times and even the bad. We laugh, we cry, and celebrate who they were and their next journey, as we will see them again with our own eyes very soon. Good morning.
My name is Paul Alexander Belden. I feel blessed to speak in this church, my home for nearly 64 years. My great-great-grandfather's name was Champion Napoleon Belden. When he married Grace Alexander, he joined an elite family in Ohio. Grace's father, John Park Alexander, was an inventor, state treasurer, representative, and senator of Ohio. Champion Grace had several children, all with the middle name of Alexander, including daughter Mary and my grandfather, Don. This led to 4 more generations of Belden boys in my family with the same middle name, from my grandpa to my grandnephews. Sharing his middle name is merely one of the ways I feel connected to my grandfather. My brother Mark and I called him Grampy. He died when I was almost 5, and he lived in Ohio, so I don't have many clear memories of him, other than his smile and joy in my presence. I'll never forget the reaction Dad had when he died. It was the first time I saw my father cry. My favorite memories of Grampy come from the stories I heard from people who knew him well. Dad talked about Grampy a lot. It was clear how much of an important role model he was for Dad. One thing Grampy, my dad, and I all share is the love of building, inventing, fixing things, and being fascinated by how things work. I have some of his tools and a medicine bottle full of nails with his prescription on the label. Each time I'm working on something, I swear he and Dad are over my shoulders, figuring out ways they'd solve the problem in case I couldn't figure it out. The coolest story about Grampy was in 1915, when he was 19 years old. He, his brother, and a couple of friends drove a Model T Ford from Cleveland, Ohio to San Francisco and back. This is before there were roads. And they allegedly crossed the Colorado River on a sheep trough. On the way back, they stopped at the Grand Canyon and hiked to the bottom. Grampy took a particular photo at the bottom, and Dad had the negative but had never printed it. In 1977, when I was 19, my dad and I hiked to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. Grampy and I were there at the same age, and we hiked the same trails. As Dad and I were walking along the river, he kept looking back, remembering the negative. Eventually, he stopped and took photos. Here are Grampy's and Dad's photographs next to each other. We UUs pride ourselves with searching for the truth. What happens to us when the truth comes from an experience that seems inexplicable? Several years ago, I had my first opportunity to engage in a sweat lodge. A huge teepee was next to a big fire pit filled with rocks that were orange hot. The importance of this sweat was to connect with an ancestor we didn't know well, but would really like to talk to. I focused on Grampy. At the end, I remember not wanting to leave and curling up into a fetal position. I remember people asking me if I was all right. I was fine. In fact, I felt comforted. What happened next was more of a feeling than hearing words, more of a shared understanding. A cloudy, green face appeared behind my closed eyes and said, "If you want to know me, just look in the mirror. I'm right there." And it was then that I realized I've known Grampy all my life.
Good morning. My name is Birch Q. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs. I am your intern minister, and I am so glad to be with you this morning. More than any other, I think about one of my greatest teachers around this time of year. I first took a class with Nikki Beto in my sophomore year of college. She was a professor of religious studies and quickly became one of the people I admire most. Taking classes with her deeply shaped me as a student, and her lessons still shape me as I go through seminary. But she was also a religious role model to me. Besides being a scholar, she was also a pagan priestess and one of my first mentors as a young pagan. Nikki taught me how to deepen my religiosity by reflecting critically on it. Questions she taught me still guide me. How does my body feel when I worship or move it in certain ways? How does my religious past inform my present? How do I locate my beliefs and practices in wider social contexts and power structures? One of the lessons that has impacted me the most deeply, is a phrase she taught me, cui bono, Latin for who benefits. It guides me through examining systems of power and oppression. It also directs me to consider the individual choices I make in my day-to-day life. Being her student taught me to be such a more intentional pagan and Unitarian Universalist. Nikki was larger than life. She was firm in her convictions, considered in her artistic tastes, and an incredibly funny storyteller. Ironically, I found out she had died while I was out of town presenting a research project she guided me through. Fittingly for her, however, she died on Earth Day in 2016. Some months before she died, I remember having a conversation with her and some other students about the afterlife. And to this day, I distinctly remember her saying that whatever happens after I die, I hope there's good jazz and good barbecue. While I've never sat down to celebrate her with jazz or barbecue, there are many other ways I tend to her memory. After she died, another student of hers gave me a bracelet that had been on her person when she passed away. I keep that on my home altar in our living room. Whenever I go to sew-in rituals at this time of year, she is one of the ancestors that I lift up and honor. I have the phrase cui bono tattooed on my wrist, and I keep a shrine of her on the wall of our house, which you can see here on our screens. It's full of things that remind me of her. Some of them are mementos I've put on sewn altars. Some of them are Buddhist pendants that remind me of another one of her academic passions, which has been a gift all its own to me. And the photo itself is from her funeral collage. But more than anything, there are two attitudes that help me remember and celebrate Nikki. One is a deep love of life and all of its pleasures. Nikki lived a life full of good music, good food, good art, good books. The other is knowing that people like Nikki have deeply shaped my life, and theirs echo through mine. Living a life in love with life is one of the best ways that I can remember Nikki. May your ancestors' lives echo through your own in abundant love.
So here are the lasting thoughts that we want to leave you with. If you only had 3 minutes, and I were to ask you about one of the loved ones that you brought today, what story would you tell me about them?
What memory do you still hold close to your heart?
If you only had 3 minutes, what would you want me to know about your relationship with them?
When you go through your days in the year ahead, remember to talk to them, to share their stories and their recipes.
Mourn them, love them, welcome them, celebrate them in your space as if it is your literal invitation that is being sent to the universe, personalized just to them.
Because as long as we share who they were, live our lives with love, they are always with us. Would you rise and join in singing our closing hymn, number 354, We Laugh, We Cry.
to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are with us in our homes. They are with us in this crowd. May our lives bless the world as our ancestors have blessed our lives. May their blessings live through us today and every day.
My guitarista is approaching. Happy Dia de los Muertos, everybody. This song is called La Llorona. It's in Espanol. It is traditionally sang on Day of the Dead. Salías de un templo un día, llorona, cuando al pasar yo te vi. Salías de un templo un día, llorona, cuando al pasar yo te vi. Hermoso vivía, llevaba llorona que la Virgen te creí. Hermoso vivía, llevaba llorona que la Virgen te creí. Ay de mí, llorona, llorona, llorona de un campo libre. Ay de mí, llorona, llorona, llorona de un campo libre. El que no sabe de mi amor es llorona, no sabe lo que es martirio. El que no sabe de mi amor es llorona, no sabe lo que es martirio. No sé qué tienen las flores, llorona las flores de un campo santo. No sé qué tienen las flores, llorona las flores de un campo santo. Que cuando las mueve viento, llorona parece que están llorando, que cuando las mueve viento, llorona parece que están
Please join us in celebration. We have your loved ones who have ever sent them out there to join us for food, coffee, and conversation. Feliz Dia de los Muertos, everyone.